Welcome back to Between the Blurred Lines. This episode is why FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr should reread the First Amendment. Some lines in Americans' life aren't meant to be bent, and the First Amendment is one of them. It's the guardrail that keeps power from deciding what's truth is allowed to be spoken. But lately, that guardrail is being leaned on, and I say it's being leaned on pretty hard. The First Amendment protects 5 core freedoms: religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. Its press clause is unambiguous. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. That protection isn't conditional. It doesn't disappear when reporting is inconvenient, unflattering, or politically uncomfortable. It exists precisely for those moments. Multiple organizations across the political spectrum have raised alarms about FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr's use of regulatory power against media outlets. The Committee to Protect Journalists urged Carr to respect the First Amendment rights of a media's organization to report the news without fear of retaliation. The House Energy and Commerce Committee opened an investigation into Carr for threatening the freedom of the press and allegedly weaponizing the FCC against the broadcasters critical of the Trump administration. Reporting from the ARC Technica shows Carr evoking a rarely used news distortion policy to pressure broadcasters and even consider revoking licenses, a tool historically avoided because of its chilling effect on journalism. The Ninth First Amendment Institute and dozens of scholars condemn Carr's pattern of jaw-boning government pressure designed to influence or punish media speech. When a government official threatens media companies for reporting facts, especially about war, policy, or political power, it's not just a disagreement. It's a test of the constitutional boundary between the government and truth. Now, because the First Amendment wasn't written for comfort, it was written for accountability, we have things like war reporting, which has always been continuous from the Vietnam to Iraq wars, but attempts to silence journalists has constantly backfired, drawing more scrutiny than less. The public definitely distrusts government that tries to control the narratives. I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on, right or left, nobody likes it when government really starts lying to us. And in this digital era, information routes around censorship faster than any regulatory can chase it. Truth has always had a way of leaking through cracks. And I was thinking about this earlier, and a lot of people are seeing it, but this administration likes to tell us that our eyes and ears are lying to us. So let's talk about this for a minute. We're going to use the term that a lot of people don't like to use over here, but it's slowly happening. Propaganda. Okay? And when a government tries to replace journalism with approved narratives, it follows a familiar global pattern. And there are a few countries that we know, so we're going to speak about some of these. Some of these countries are known for state-controlled media and propaganda. Russia, China, North Korea, and Hungary. Russia, state-run outlets dominate TV. Independent journalists face intimidation or exile. Sorry, that's my puppy. China, the government controls major media, censors dissent, and shapes narratives through the Great Firewall. North Korea, total information control. Media exists solely to reinforce the state's ideology. And last but not least, Hungary. Pro-government allies have total consolidated media ownership, creating a near monopoly on political messaging. This all sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? These systems share common traits: government pressure on independent outlets, retaliation against critical reporting, promoting of state-aligned narratives as the truth, public confusion about what's real and what's manufactured, and that's where the parallel becomes uncomfortable. Now, we will share some of the similarities of these countries, unfortunately now with ours. These concerns raised about Carr's action doesn't exist in isolation. They sit within a broader pattern. Government officials are attacking media as their enemies, attempt to delegitimize unfavorable reporting, pressure campaigns against broadcasters, and efforts to elevate friendly outlets as the real truth tellers. This isn't full authoritarianism or full control, but it's now a system that is put in place where propaganda becomes the default and journalism becomes the threat. The danger isn't that America suddenly becomes Russia or China. The danger is the slow normalization of government-approved truth. That's how democracy erodes, not in a single moment, but in a series of blurred lines. So, when an FCC commissioner threatens media companies for reporting facts or tries to bend regulatory power into political weapons, the issue isn't just policy, it's constitutional. The First Amendment doesn't need reinterpretation. It needs respect. Because once the government decides which truths are allowed, the people lose the right to decide anything at all. And that, here in the space between what's said and what's meant, is where the story really lives. So until then, stay kind, and I'll speak to you later. Have a good one.